Welcome to Refugee Tales 2021. Thank you to everyone who has walked with us today in solidarity and around the world. Thank you for sending us photos of steps for our team as we have walked and look to a future without detention. I am Pius and I was detained for a very long time. I am hosting this event because I want you to know about detention and about what Gatwick Detainees Welfare Group and Refugee Tales do to support people who have been detained and to call for a change. I believe our call for a change must be heard around the world as immigration detention is a global issue. Do you know the UK is the only country in Europe that detain people indefinitely for immigration purposes? The longest I know someone has been detained is 9 years. Can you imagine how terrible it is to be detained and not know how long you will be detained for? It makes you feel you are losing your mind. Half of those who are detained are released back into the UK and not removed from the country. So I wonder why they have been detained at all. Detention is a waste of life. GDWG has visitors that spend time with people in detention, and I had a visitor who made a big difference to my life. GDWG give clothes, phone cards to people in detention, and after detention, they give them supermarket voucher to people. I am part of those self-advocates group that use the Refugee Tales book to have conversation with people of influence and call for a change. You can find out about the stories of people who have been detained in the 3 autographic published by Common Press. Volume 4 is available for pre-order and it launches on 28th July, the 70th anniversary of the 1951 Refugee Convention. You will hear 2 tales this evening and music too. And now we have the first tale of the evening read by Bidisha, who wrote the Outsider's Tale for us. I know how being detained makes you feel like an outsider. Bidisha is a director, an author, broadcaster, filmmaker, journalist, and specializes in social justice issues. And she is a human rights activist. She has carried out an outreach work in detention center with English pen. Bidisha was a host for Refugee Tales before on one of our work before. We asked her to write a tale for us. We are so pleased she said yes. Here is Bidisha reading The Outsider's Tale.
Even my home country wasn't home. In the place I grew up, I was invisible, as I am now. Our people were stateless even there. All I knew from childhood was being hated. Hated so I couldn't attend school. Hated so I couldn't attend college. Hated and prevented from getting a job. Hated and denied access to the hospital. Just because of my heritage. The only work we could get earned us barely enough to eat, nowhere near enough to improve ourselves. My father and I washed cars in the car park of the supermarket for coins, nothing more. We protested in the streets for our human rights. My father was first in line. He stood up and said, I want to talk about freedom for our people. But he got no further before the police turned the water cannons on us. We lay sprawling, hit by the bruising water and unable to breathe. Then they trod through us, beating us with their batons. I got to my feet and dozens of us ran together, a crowd of strangers. I heard someone breathing heavily behind me. I turned to look, and it was a policeman. He hit me in the face. I was too dazed to fight. He and another policeman dragged me into their car, which sped away in a cloud of dust. Every time I raised my head to look out, they pushed it down again. All I know is they drove for a long time. They took me to a special police compound and they kept me there for 2 months. Every other night they pulled me out, beat me up, shouted, beat me up, shouted, a different assailant every time. And just when I thought the beating was finished, it'd start again. After 2 months of that, they shoved me out, took my fingerprints, and told me that I had to become an informant, or else. If you refuse, they say you're against the government, you're against the security forces, you're against the royal family. You're dead. They handcuffed and blindfolded me, put me in a car, drove for hours, and then dumped me on the street. When I finally got home, everything about me was tired. My chest, my knees, my legs. All I wanted to do was rest. I got 2 days of it before they were back. They pushed their way inside our home, showed me photographs of people who'd been protesting alongside me and my father, and asked, "Where are they? Where can we find them?" When they were gone, my mother and I talked long into the night. The people in the photographs, they had families, they had children. They weren't nameless or faceless to those who loved them. I wouldn't inform on them. After all, they were innocent. I left the country after a long night hiding on a farm in the middle of nowhere, my new passport getting sweaty in my palm. A week after that, the police went to my house, ransacked it, and threatened my parents. Thus began my odyssey of being faceless in nameless places and nameless in faceless places, in the company of strangers from all over the world, all refugees, just like me. I went to one country, I don't know which one, I didn't yet speak English, and then to Turkey, and then to Greece. In every place, we met a man who passed us on to the next place. Greece was the worst. We stayed a month, maybe 2, in an apartment owned by a man who tried to use us as slaves, taking us from property to property to clean them. He beat and threatened us until we did it. The most disturbing thing was the way he was so nice and polite to other people. Then there were more countries whose names I didn't know, and then in Belgium I encountered a dilemma. If I registered as being from my home country, they'd let that country's government know. The same people who'd threatened me with death if I didn't become an informant for the police there. I told this to the guy in Belgium and he just shrugged and said, "Register as Iraqi." Am I Iraqi? Have I ever been to Iraq? Do I know anything about Iraq? No, no, and no. I went from being faceless, nameless, and placeless to almost being an actual fake person, a pretend Iraqi. North Belgium was my lowest point. The locals hated us there, hated and abused us. Finally, I found myself in Brussels, homeless, I was so tired that one day I entered a mosque in the city and spilled my guts to the imam there, and to my surprise, he knew everything about our people. He brought me food. He told me not to worry. He said there were people I could talk to and a place I could go. It was a Friday. That's how clearly I remember it. We'd been in the boat for nearly 8 hours when the British police picked us up, but not before we'd been rammed by another, bigger boat and picked up on the Coast Guard's radar. Me and dozens of others in life vests, all terrified of drowning. I'd been thrown into the boat by a strange guy in Calais who started off angrily ordering us about, and then, when that didn't work, he suddenly turned nice and kind and polite. I know money changed hands to get me there, but I never saw it. Once we were on dry land, I heard English and other languages. I was too tired to sleep, but I was happy. We arrived at Dover at 3 in the morning. They called our names, took us to the processing centre. We had showers and food and everything. Not everyone spoke well to us, I'll say that, and they fingerprinted us at that first interview. Then it was a series of chain hotels in North London, 2 months in Brent Cross, 2 months in Wembley. By now, my language skills made me the unofficial interpreter between the refugees and the hotel staff, the night staff, the day staff. I still got put through the system like everyone else: migrant help, processing, orientation, assimilation. Pulled out of one hotel at 7 a.m, transferred to an immigration removal centre, the manager at the old centre crying because he was going to miss me, telling the taxi driver that I'm a good guy. At the immigration removal centre, I knew I was near the airport because I could hear the planes landing and taking off. They took everything out of my pockets. I waited for an hour. And then I had an interview with a very nice young woman. I told her everything, and I told her the truth. And then I went back to another detention centre for another 2 weeks. Time passed under constant tension. I did my English courses, exercised, got a phone, helped everyone translate. But the tension never let up. I had removal directions 5 days from when I arrived in one centre, and it wasn't until the 4th day that it was cancelled. The stress was incredible, the worry and the frustration and the tension and the anger from the poor guidance I received from the legal firms. I talked to one lawyer who wouldn't take on my case but gave me advice. The second lawyer did the same thing. The third lawyer kept me waiting for 3 hours and then did the same thing. I was told by people to make a fuss when they tried to deport me, to make some noise and say I wasn't safe if they sent me on. By the time I got a proper solicitor who actually talked to me for several hours, 2 of my friends who were in the same position had attempted to commit suicide. Now I'm careful as I wait. I ask politely for my towel because my skin's very sensitive and it reacts to everything. I eat the brown, soggy food they give us in plastic containers from a company called Treats. When one of the guys here is angry or frustrated, I take him downstairs and interpret for him. Not all of them are good guys. You see, when you translate for someone, you see what they do and what they're like. At my home office meetings, I never get angry. I don't shout or hit the table. I say, okay, thank you, very kind. I tell them everything about being nameless and faceless in my home country and in all the countries in between. I've now been at the same hotel since last summer, and I'm still waiting in limbo. The coronavirus has made it all so much more frightening. Being held in a hotel during a pandemic that's killing so many people, unseen, unnamed, unnoticed, and unprotected. When I translate and interpret for others, I try to do it without sitting close to anyone, and I use sanitizer on my hands every time I touch a door handle. But it's difficult and it's scary. I just want to live and work as people here do. I'm waiting for another interview. I have a little contact with my family, but I don't tell them anything that would make them sad.
Thank you, Badisha, for reading for us. Now, we have music from Riyab Azar. Riyab is a Syrian oud player, a graduate of Conservatory of Damascus. Riyab was the first woman to perform, accomplished by the Syrian National Orchestra for Arabic music. Strongly influenced by Arabic music, Riyab has played and written music for projects involving storytelling, visual arts, TV programs, radios, and theater play. For one of her musical items this evening, Riyab collaborated with Luke Daniels, an award-winning British folk musician now based in Scotland, who is also a composer. Riyab and Luke have collaborated since 2018 and toured together. They have told us they would like to say how grateful they are that we have welcomed their musical friendship to Refugee Tales this year, 2021. Riyab will play two solo pieces, The Pool of Time and Indulgence. Between these pieces, you will hear her work composed by Riyab and also arranged and accompanied by Luke Daniels. But first, here is Riyab in her own words.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're very well. I'm so delighted to be with you today. And it means a lot to me to have been invited again to be part of a Refugee Tales event. I remember back in 2019 when I first performed for the group. It was such a lovely experience. And since then, it has felt like my community really in the UK has expanded, and being invited again makes me feel that the connection that was built with you is a long-lasting one, which is something I'm honored and really grateful for. I wanted to say how much it really means to me as an immigrant to connect with people like you who have other people's well-being and inclusion deep in their hearts. I think given the horrible hostile environment, politics and anti-immigration laws in this country. You represent an amazing antidote for all of that. And your voice is so incredibly valuable. So may it live long and spread very wide and be so loud. Thank you so much for thinking about the vulnerable ones and opening your communities for others. It means a lot to me that the music I've written has been something that has come out of me in the UK because of the inclusion I've felt, whether from collaborators or people like you. So honestly, sharing my music with you is just like a statement to confirm how valuable your effort and initiative is, because inclusion brings out the creative side of others and the resilient side and so many things. So I hope you enjoy my music. I'm also very, very delighted to be joined today by a wonderful musician, one of my favorite people in the UK, Luke Daniels. Check out his music. We've prepared for you a duo piece, and we hope you enjoy our performance. Stay well, and I really hope to see you again in the flesh soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Rehab Azar and Luke Daniels. Our second tale of the evening is the Stowaway Tale by Amy Sackville. Amy is an author and a teacher of creative writing at the University of Kent. Her book includes The Still Point and Okrin. She wrote a book called Pental to the King about a pental at the court of King Philip IV of Spain. The film you are going to watch now was made in collaboration with Canterbury Cathedral. Our thanks to Liam from the Canterbury and to Adrian of Comedian Production Limited who made this film. Relax and enjoy the film.
Something happens, something violent, and you have to leave your home. You have no ties to keep you, nothing left to leave behind. You sneak on board a ship to anywhere but here, to a place where you think you might find a new start and prosper. Your life has not been full of opportunity, so you take this one. You hide below decks until your hunger drives you out of your hiding place and you are discovered by the crew. The captain of the ship is kind to you. You arrive in a new country. You are a young man in search of a better life. This is something like your story. This is the familiar shape of the stowaway's tale, a story about pluck and prospect, full of risk and daring and charm. But that's not your story, not quite. You are a young man in your 20s. At home you worked as a kind of porter. You helped people carry things and they paid you what they could afford. This was the kind of work available. Certainly not much in the way of opportunity. But then something happened and you had to run. You had to get on a ship and leave. You don't want me to write about the particular unspeakable thing that happened to you and your family and your home, the thing that you ran from. So all I will say is that it was brutal and quick and confusing, that you escaped, and that you believe now that your family are dead. I ask if you have heard anything from home since you arrived in the UK. Who am I going to call, you ask? I opened our conversation by apologising in advance for any stupid or tactless questions. You don't know anyone from home now. You don't have any more family. When you ran away, you waited for them at the port, you waited for news, and when the news came and it was bad, you knew you had to go. You tell me the story quietly, flatly. You tell me you have nightmares, you have flashbacks, that this is what you see when you're sleeping and when you can't sleep. When we first speak, this is what you describe, the thing I won't describe here, the violent thing that happened. It's early in 2021 and we are speaking through a screen, of course. I am in my home with all my stuff around me and you are speaking from a plain white room, the only feature of which I can see is the line between the wall and the ceiling behind your head. I listen and I don't know what to say. The usual platitudes for loss will not apply here. I think I say I can't imagine what that's like. Well, but that doesn't help you, does it? The second time we speak, I ask you more about the journey, your journey as a stowaway. I realise that I have been picturing a small craft, possibly rigged and made of wood. You told me you'd found a small hiding place, and I'm picturing some below-deck hold to curl up in. This is just the image that arrives in my head, vaguely historical, 18th century. I don't really think that this is what it was like. People arrive this way, stowed away in boats, of course. It's on the news, I know this. But I have not imagined what that's like, have not known how to imagine it, the space or the time of it. I ask you to tell me. It's an ugly, frightening story, and there is nothing romantic about it. So, once you had waited for weeks at the port, and none of your family had turned up, once you had heard that they weren't going to, then you knew you had to leave and you found a fisherman who would take you to a ship. You helped him with his fishing, and then he brought you close to what I now understand was a huge container ship. You didn't care where it was going as long as it was Europe, because you thought you would be safe there, and you knew this ship brought cars to your country, and you thought all ships that bring cars, they all go to Europe. You climb onto the ship, a docking bay at the back. At the back of the ship there are boxes, things that look like a box, you explain. There are loads of them. Now I can see it. One of those impossibly massive ships, stacked with crates and crates in different dirty colours that can be seen off the coast of Kent. And when you are inside one of the boxes, no one can see you from the outside. When you got on board, you found some other stowaways there already, and you each had your own box. You had a few biscuits and a plastic bottle of water for the journey. You didn't know how long it would be, since you didn't know where you were going. You stayed in this thing like a box for 8 or 9 days, you think. I ask how it felt being in the box. It is what it is, you say. You didn't care about the days. You didn't know how many had passed until you arrived in England. You just wanted to get far away. The thing that looks like a box is not that wide to sleep in. You can only sleep on your side. And so you sometimes leave the box and you can talk to the other people there. And if you need the toilet, you go down to a small place, you say, and you grab onto something so you don't fall overboard. One night you hear a shout and you realise that someone is missing. The thing he was holding wasn't strong enough. You and the others try to open the door to the deck then to get help from the crew, but it's locked. Later, another night, you are hungry, of course you are hungry, and you try the door again, and this time you manage to force the lock. You're hungry, and one of you has fallen overboard, and you're realising you will have to get out of this space to survive. You and another stowaway go to look for food in the kitchen, and this is when they find you. At first, the captain and the crew are nice to you. It's the captain who advises you that when you put into port, you should seek asylum. You didn't know this word. They put you and the others in a captain and they lock it, but they give you food and are nice to you. But then things change. Something seems wrong. The captain has been in contact with the company that owns the ship, and the company wants to send you back home. Now the crew leave food for you at the window when you're asleep, and it's cold by the time you wake up. Cold, you say, by which I think you mean frozen. This is winter, and it was a very cold winter. Something is not right, and you're scared now, scared you'll be taken back home. The window of the cabin is welded with an iron bar, and someone manages to pull the bar free, and you all climb out and find somewhere else to hide. When the crew find you, they have weapons, you say. Metal poles. You and your friends take the bars that were used to bar the doors to scare them away, you say, just to leave us alone. The crew retreats. The captain keeps telling you to get back in the cabin, but you know that they will lock you in more securely this time and take you back, and you refuse. You stay outside that December night. You take it in turns to sit in a bathroom for warmth. Then the authorities come, and they put you in handcuffs, and you're in port by now. You are in the UK, and the police say, "Come down, you're okay." It's a weekend, and you sleep at the police station until Monday. And on Monday, you're taken to court. Court for what, you ask? There are charges against you, a fray. At the court, they say, this court case can't be dealt with in this court. And you are taken away again, and this time they take you to prison. A week later, this process is repeated. To court, this case can't be dealt with in this court, back to a different prison. You are bewildered. As you're telling me, you're bewildered. You didn't know what a fray is. You'd never heard that kind of word before. I was trying to have a conversation with the captain, you say. I didn't threaten anybody. I didn't threaten anyone. So why are we going to court? From that day I arrived, you say, I don't know what's going on. You keep coming back to it. How you arrived and you went straight to prison. You can't process it. In fact, it's the very first thing you said to me when I asked why you wanted to share your story. You said, because I don't see the point. If someone is coming here from another country, seeking for asylum, and the same day is sent to prison. You repeat this phrase a few times. I don't see the point. There is a kind of exasperation, bafflement, that comes into your voice. Rhetorical questions. You shake your head in disbelief. When you were in prison waiting for trial, the solicitor told you not to worry. It's going to be over. It's going to be over? It took months. You rub your eye as you speak, and I think you are very tired. You have nightmares. You have flashbacks. You tell me, the thing that I'm trying to say is, if people run away from their country, they don't run away for no reason. And if they run away for a reason, I don't see the point why immigration can't help them. You expected detention. You expected a slow process. You didn't expect to go to prison. You tell me, if I'd had a sign from my country that this was going to happen, I'm not going to get on the ship. I'm just going to die in my country. Yeah, I'm just going to stay there and die. You were in prison for 10 months before trial. During this time, you felt you had been forgotten, that no one cared about you or even knew about you. An immigration officer came to interview you, and they brought you a paper to sign to say you wanted to go back to your country. You say, I wasn't in my senses, I was stressed, I was depressed. So I said there's no point, that they should send me back. Let me go back to my own country and die if that's the case. You signed the paper. But here, a stranger's kindness intervened. Another prisoner noticed that you were not in a fit state, not in your own senses, and you were seen by a doctor and given medication, and your claim was renewed. You went to another prison, a third prison, for the duration of the trial, which was 2 months. The charges make no sense to you. You are again animated by the absurdity of them. How would we get a knife? How did we hijack the ship? You are cleared of some, but not all of the charges. By the time you received your sentence, you had been in prison so long that you had only a few months left to serve. And when those months were over, the day your sentence was finished, you were packed and ready to go, to be taken into detention. What had you packed, I ask? What were your possessions? This is another of the stupid questions I warned you I might ask. My clothes, you say shortly. You have brought nothing with you, just the clothes you have from prison in your bag. The day comes and goes. What's going on? You're told you're being held under immigration laws. They say it's up to them when you're let out of prison, whenever they're ready. Almost a month later, you were released into detention. In the detention centre, it's a little better. You have some space to yourself after months of sharing rooms with strangers. You can move around, exercise for more than 45 minutes a day. You have things to do. You serve food to the other detainees. You clean. It takes your mind off things. But you can't sleep. You see a doctor. He gives you medication for 1 week. He doesn't tell you that it is just for a week. When you ask for more, you are told you can't have these drugs for more than a week. At this time, you are sleeping less than 30 minutes, 25 minutes. You say, that's the whole of my sleep. You are having nightmares, flashbacks. The things you saw at home and the things you've seen in prison. These things keep coming into your head all the time and you don't know how to make it stop. You have harmed yourself. 2 times you tried to kill yourself. So there's nothing I can do, you say. I just keep bearing the pain like that until I got out of detention. You look at the camera at me for a long moment and I don't know what to say, and you look away. You came here for a better life in a safe place. Now you are waiting. You live in a house that the Home Office put you in, and there's not much to do. We're in lockdown now, of course, but I don't think it makes much difference except that the gym is closed. You can't work anyway, though you would like to, and you don't have much to live on, only what you're given. You work out, you clean your room. You skip meals so you have a little more to spend. If you can stay, if your claim is approved, then you can finish your schooling. You tell me, I do have a plan. If I can start working, anybody that needs help, if I'm in a position to help them, then I'm going to help them. Because the way I see people suffering, I don't like it. But I'm not in a good position to help them. You have been changed by what's happened to you. Now you don't feel yourself. You don't do things correctly, you say. You find it hard to concentrate. There are 2 other people in the house you live in and you talk to them sometimes, but sometimes you tell me, I just lock my door, stay inside. I know it's not supposed to be like that. I'm not going to lie. The prison and the detention has fucked my head up because I don't think I'm going to be normal for years, you say. This is the only time you swear, and you say it very softly. But the way I am now, there's something wrong with me in my head because sometimes I do harm myself. Sometimes I do try and kill myself because when I have those nightmares, the things I've seen in prison, honestly, I do see them and I do have nightmares of those things. And I'm not supposed to go to prison. I don't know why they took me to prison. I know people that have been sent back, they've been killed. If I know they're going to send me back, I don't know what's going to happen because I'm not going to go back. One day they might find my dead body in the house. That's it. I'm not going to lie. This is another phrase that you use, I'm not going to lie. And it's idiomatic, and when you say it, you sound like any other young man, but you also sound like you mean it. You need to be believed, and I do believe you. As we come to the end of our conversation, your housemate keeps calling for you, and you shout that you're coming, you're on the phone, and you smile and shake your head. I ask if there's anything you wanted to ask me. You laugh and tell me that if I was from the government, you'd have loads of questions to ask me. What would you ask? You say, anyone that came to this country, they came for a reason. They should be given a chance. You tell me the important part of my story is, when people leave their country, they come to this country, they're not supposed to be sent to prison. Most people, they don't have enough strength to cope. It shouldn't be like that, because those things, they do cost to a human being.
Thank you, Amy, for reading for us. We are going to end with this music by a great friend of Refugee Tales, Greg Russell. Greg is a musician and a community artist who has played for us before. Greg now works full-time in adult mental health, So this is a rare recorded song. We asked Greg why he returned to sing for us, and he said it is our joy, support, and community in every element of the Refugee Tale. He loves sharing the love and energy. We hope to work with him in person next year.
Hello, Refugee Tales. I hope you're all well. I'm sorry I can't be there in person this year. Next year. Hopefully next year. This is a song by a wonderful writer called Nancy Kerr. And it's a song all about choosing to move and being forced to move and crossing borders and the things tied up in all those decisions. And it's called Driving Dreams. Arise with me before the dawn is breaking. There's nothing here to give us cheer besides the roof is leaking across the sea, or just a little nearer. Perhaps the skies are clearing to find foreign land. Some take the train, while others sail the ocean. I ask the sky to tell me why we all must be in motion, while some folks gain and hanker for a peerage, while others travel steerage to a fine foreign land. So it's rise up broken hearts and rag and tatter kings and queens. Driving dreams on the ocean seems a fine place to be. Some folks turn to earn an honest labour, to factory or victory or for lover's favour, while young hearts burn and sultry suns are gleaming, you always will be dreaming of a fine foreign land. So it's rise up broken hearts and rag and tatter kings and queens, droving dreams on the ocean seas to find ways to be. Skies turn grey for beggars, for gentry. From east to west the road is best, when neighbours they are plenty. Our children play and babies lay scolding. Think of the bombs are falling on a fine foreign land. So it's rise up broken hearts and rag and tatter kings and queens, droving dreams on the ocean seems to find ways to be. In a handmade home where nothing may assail us, I ask the rain to please explain why memories do fail us, why kind hearts roam and flee the clouds above us, and leave the ones who love us for a fine foreign land. So it's rise up broken hearts and rag and tatter kings and queens, droving dreams on the ocean seems a fine place to be. And it's rise up broken hearts and rag and tatter kings and queens, droving dreams on the ocean seems a fine place to be. Look after yourselves. See you next year. Thanks for having me again.
Thank you, Greg, for singing for us. Thank you, everyone who has taken part this evening. If you have enjoyed this evening and the event, please consider donating to Gatwick Detainees Welfare Group, as their work makes such a difference to people who have been detained. You can find a donation button on their website or the website for refugeetales.org. I hope this evening has helped you to find out more about immigration detention in the UK. Thank you to everyone who have taken part. Thank you to Ricardo for putting the film together. Thank you to our patron, Abdul Razak, Goodna, and Ali Smith. We love you both very much. We hope to see you all on a future walk, and that you will join a walk in solidarity if you are far from us and around the world. We hope you will buy our new Refugee Tales book, Volume 4, and keep telling people about detention. And the more people who know, and the more people who tell and work with us, create a strong community, saying the injustice cannot continue in our country, in the world, and in our community. Thank you for caring. Keep well and enjoy the night. Hope to see you soon in the near future walk. Thank you.